In this video I'm going to share with you 12 tips that I have for solo players for a successful extraction, and this is on any map. So this does differ from my map specific videos because, like I said, this is solo players and this will work for every map that you go and play on, whether it be Armory, Farm, Northridge, Valley, so on and so forth. First tip that I have for you is that angles are your best friend. There is a leaning button in this game, so obviously it has use, and it is a very critical use. If you've ever played Rainbow Six or Tarkov on PC, you already know how important this feature is, but if you don't know, leaning and sort of taking specific angles that you know can be beneficial to you in the game, make sure that you take advantage of these. Kind of overpowered angles are in each map will just be something that you kind of learn throughout the time of you playing each map. But once you do know the overpowered angles on each map and how to use them efficiently, make sure that you do go ahead and use them, because there are so many instances where you can pick people off peeking around a corner that they will absolutely not expect you to peek around. They will probably even most times have their back turned all the way around. Next tip that I have for you is that you do not want to push any locations super quickly. Make sure that you're playing this game very tactically, because it is a tactical FPS obviously, and although some of the maps are big, don't push any location when you get to that location too quickly, because you have to make sure that you are playing tactfully and smart. Once you get to the location, next tip that I have for you is you want to make sure you have a plan and sort of a layout of how you want to loot it before you actually go there. You can freestyle it, but going in there with a plan is a way better idea, because then you actually know the routes to take and where to actually expect enemies, if there will be enemies, so on and so forth. If you playing on a map that is larger, make sure that you have a long ranged gun over a short ranged gun, but also bring a pistol. This is just so that you can stay back and not push any location super quickly. If you do have to pick people off from afar, you can do so, and also picking people off from afar as a solo player is honestly the way to go to get kills in this game for sure. Building off of that, the next tip that I want to give you is to make sure that you use the gunsmith for this game actually before it starts. And one attachment that is very useful for picking people off at long range is suppressors. So make sure that if you're a solo player that you want to throw a suppressor on your gun. This is really up to you because it's your gunsmith, but I every time like a suppressor on my builds for Arena Breakout, because it's Arena Breakout, you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be heard, so a suppressor is the way to go in my opinion, but you don't have to use it. If you're a solo player, choose Farm and Valley. And don't feel discouraged by this tip, because if you're an ultimate pro player from the MLG series, then you can obviously go and play Armory and Northridge. I just realized that none of you guys are going to know what that joke was that I just made there, but basically if you are that good of a player, you can go play Northridge and Armory obviously, but I would just recommend staying on Farm and Valley. Valley is obviously a little bit trickier than Farm, but Valley is still a very easy map to actually solo. But once you get into Northridge and especially Armory, soloing becomes a bit more of a challenge. So for easy free loot and XP, just stick to the first two maps to make sure that you don't actually go and loot all of your loot that you take into the map. Learn the spawn points for the maps. This is something that people abuse me on all the time, especially again on Northridge and Armory. Whenever I play those maps and I spawn in, there will be someone that instantly is shooting in my direction for whatever reason. Even if they don't even come close to me, there are still shots that come towards me, so people know the spawns already and it's just a beta, so knowing the spawns is going to be probably something that is going to be critical to each match. And especially if you're a solo player, you are going to also want to know the spawns so that you can know where to possibly avoid and kind of where to weasel your way around. Take in extra ammo and health items, and also possibly food and drink. You won't have any teammates to kind of lean on and have extra of these items for, so it is important to make sure that when you go in, you are kind of taking for two, because honestly you use up more than you expect in these matches, so it's important to kind of overstock rather than understock, because although you are taking in more loot for the opponent, if you die, you are him, you are better, you will not die, and that's how you gotta go when thinking with these games. Once you find your bread and butter, don't do anything but that. As in, once you find a successful route and plan that you can follow most games, stick to it. Obviously you can change things up if you want to have some fun and just to kind of spice things up, but for the most part, if you're trying to play safe and just kind of get to the riches and get to the highest level, find your bread and butter and stick to your successful plan, because that is going to be the way to win this game every single time. Avoid fights with real players, but you can and should fight AI. You will get XP for eliminations, so it's important to make sure that you do get eliminations, but obviously real players are going to be a hassle. And if you want loot, then real players will have better loot than AI, obviously, but if you're going into a game, you are expecting to find loot at locations. Unless you're a person that kills for loot, then I don't know what to tell you for this tip, but most times locations will have the good loot for you already, unless a player's taking it. But fighting AI for the XP is the way to go, but real players are going to 1 to 2 tap you. So you want to be careful here and just kind of make sure that you're playing smart. Do not become too greedy with loot. It is only you, so if you die, it's over. No one can go touch your backpack and then go hit the extract. So don't get too greedy. Once you get the loot that you need, or once you get a sufficient amount of loot that will give you a decent amount of cone, go and hit the extract as soon as possible. Do not waste any time trying to get greedy and find extra things that might not even get you that much extra cash, because 5 extra minutes in there might get you 5,000 more cone, but it also might get you killed, and it's just not worth it. Know the map layouts. This is a very, very important tip for all solo players that kind of goes with knowing of the spawn points, but this is knowing the entire map layout, because once you know the entire map layout, then how you can find your bread and butter and get a successful route and plan, because then you will know which way to take each time, and actually all the ins and outs of the locations and kind of how to efficiently run through each spot of the map itself. So knowing the entire map layout is actually one of the most important things, obviously, for any game, but in Arena Breakout it is 10 times more critical, because you will be able to find the loot and get the loot and get out of there way faster. With that though, that is going to wrap up today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. Both of those things help me out a ton. My name is Intense. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for this video. Peace.